Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a very nice weekend and a nice Easter. And I hope that this video finds you all healthy and safe. So we'll start with the core practice this morning. Find a spot, sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take deep breaths. Very good. So gratitude today. Today I'm grateful for being able to learn new things. Even though we're not in school and we're all kind of stuck at home, that doesn't mean you stop learning. Maybe you learned how to cook something new, or maybe you learned a new game to play. And all learning is good learning. So I hope that you guys are continuing to learn at home. And that is what I'm grateful for today, is that I'm able to still learn even though I'm not at school and I'm at home. So we're going to start chapter 2 of Ramona's World. It's called The Role Model. What does it mean to be a role model? Did we talk about this before? When you're a role model, you're somebody that someone looks up to. So you have to set a good example. Like you guys might have been role models for the kindergartners. When you walked down the hall and were quiet, you were showing the kindergartners how to do that, and you were being a role model to them. So that's what the title of this chapter is. We're going to read about a half of it today. The next morning, Ramona was excited and happy when she entered her classroom. That is, until she saw, she might have known, spelling words on the chalkboard. She mentally groaned. Why did nice Mrs. Meacham have to do this? She soon found out. Mrs. Meacham explained, today we are going to study words we use. When we wrote about ourselves, we discovered words we need to learn how to spell. Ramona looked more closely at the words on the chalkboard. Among them she saw scream, hungry, couch, finger, roll, and model. Is something the matter, Ramona? Asked Mrs. Meacham, who had been quick to learn names. Ramona decided to speak up. What difference does spelling make if people know what you mean? She asked. You wouldn't want people to think you sat on a coach instead of a couch, would you? Mrs. Meacham asked. The class found this funny, but Ramona did not. Not when the class laughed. She felt her face grow hot. She slid down in her seat and shook her head. Mrs. Meacham knew the answer. Why did she bother to ask? Mrs. Meacham continued, and before lunch, are you hungry or hungry? The class laughed harder this time. The warm day suddenly seemed warmer. Ramona decided right then that she did not like Mrs. Meacham, and this was only the second day of school. Mrs. Meacham did not tell the truth. She said learning was fun, and it wasn't, at least not all the time, not when it came to spelling. She does not look happy in that picture. The fourth grade suddenly began to stretch ahead, long and dreary and full of spelling. Before long, rain would begin to fall, day after day. The school bus would smell like old boots. Then, with luck, snow might fall. Ramona imagined herself making snow angels in the front yard. Ramona, please join the class, Mrs. Meacham spoke sharply. The class laughed a third time. Ramona sat up and stared glumly at the spelling words on the chalkboard. She did not really want to be a bad speller. She simply did not want to bother being a good speller. She had more interesting things to do, although at the moment she couldn't think what. She frowned and studied the words based on her own misspellings, as well as those of others, and disliked every minute. Mrs. Meacham gave a little talk on not confusing H with K in cursive writing, and pointed to muck on the chalkboard. Ramona knew much was not her word, but that of some babyish person in the class. Imagine spelling it muck. How silly. When recess came, Yardape stopped chasing a ball to ask, what kind of coach do you sit on, baseball or football? You keep quiet. Ramona saw no reason to be polite, especially when the day was so warm. Then she had an inspiration. I sat on a coach like a stagecoach, she informed him. A stagecoach is like a horse and buggy. She could tell he didn't believe her. Susan smiled that superior smile of hers and said nothing. Everybody makes mistakes, Janet reminded Ramona. I'm a rotten speller too, said Howie, as if that would help. Daisy smiled, showing the bands on her teeth, and said, I don't think Mrs. Meacham was very nice to you. Ramona felt better. When the long day finally ended, Ramona sat as far as she could from Yard Ape on the bus. She gave ever-sweeping Mrs. Pitt a tiny smile and did not bother to wave. At home, she found her mother sitting on the couch, not coach, still reading Moby Dick. Shh, said Mrs. Quimby. Don't wake Roberta. She was fussy last night, and the heat makes her cross. She laid her book aside. What happened in school today? Ramona was in no mood to be hushed. Oh, nothing much. Same old stuff. Spelling and multiplication facts and stuff. Then, because her mother often told her to look on the bright side, she added, Daisy gave me half of her chocolate chip cookie. That's good. Mrs. Quimby spoke as if she was thinking of something else. Ramona, she said in that quiet voice that meant Ramona was about to get a little talking to. You've been using the word stuff entirely too much. Surely you can find a better word to say what you mean. Ramona felt picked on, first by her teacher and now by her mother. Stuff was a perfectly good, handy multi-purpose word and easy to spell, too. She flopped into a chair and scowled. If she had written, my sister is cute and stuff, or I like to hold her and stuff, she wouldn't have misspelled so many words, and Mrs. Meacham wouldn't have had a chance to be so mean. Before the discussion could continue, Beezus came home from school, dumped an armload of books on the dining room table, and gave her mother and sister a cheerful, Hi! Ramona returned it with a grumpy, Hi. Beezus, smiling and full of enthusiasm, perched on the arm of the couch. I love high school. I didn't get lost in the halls even once today. I think I made a new friend. My French teacher makes French seem easy, and I have the nicest man for English, and Ramona interrupted. And I suppose you spelled every single word right. Well, aren't you, Miss Grouchy Puss? Beezus said. Yes, I did. And in French, too. Smarty Puss, countered Ramona, feeling that everyone picked on her. Girls! Mrs. Quimby's voice was weary. That means tired. The afternoon was too warm for this sort of a disagreement. From the bedroom came the sound of fussing, crying, and finally screaming. S-C-R-E-A-M, thought Ramona, mentally spelling the word in spite of herself. I'll get her, Beezus offered. Good old Beezus, thought Ramona, sliding farther down in her chair. And that's where we'll stop for the day. So we'll have to find out if Ramona gets out of this funk she had about her new teacher and her in the 4th grade. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I hope you guys have a really good rest of your day, and I will see you on here tomorrow.